What's up guys, my name is Ace, and with the recent introduction to the shield in CoD WW2, I've been seeing tons of complaints all over the place. Lots of people are very annoyed by this shield for obvious reasons. So today I thought it'd be a great idea to share my top 10 counters for the shield in CoD WW2. Yesterday I hopped into a custom game with my girlfriend Enya, which I will leave a link to her Twitch in the description below. She does live stream several times a week. And the two of us just spent a bunch of time testing a ton of things against the shield to see what would work against it, what doesn't work against it. And now it's time to share my top 10 with you guys. Keep in mind this list isn't going to be in any particular order, although of course I am going to be saving my favorite as well as what I feel is the most surprising one for last. And also towards the end of the video I'm going to be sharing the ultimate class setup to make people regret choosing that shield on the enemy team. So let's kick it off with number 10. This is something that a lot of people have been wondering about, and yes, it does work, the sticky grenade. If you stick a shield user either on the shield or on their body with a sticky grenade, they are going to die even if they're using the Hunker basic training skill. Now I have seen a couple clips floating around here and there where people have survived being stuck. I think that's just a bug as they're like swapping the shield. It's just like the perfect situation with the perfect timing where they can technically survive a sticky grenade, but 9 times out of 10, if you stick them with a sticky grenade even on the front of the shield, it will get a kill on them. Next up, moving on to number 9, this one is relatively obvious, but I often don't see people going for this. If the person is a little bit sloppy with that shield as they're approaching you, just shoot their feet. Always keep an eye out for their feet. If they're not crouching, if they're not looking slightly downwards, you will be able to see just a little glimpse of their feet, and that's all it really takes to be able to at least hurt them and make them panic, and then you can finish them off. Moving on to number 8, this is more of a general tip. As you're pushing a shield user, assuming you want to be aggressive on them and just take them out really quickly, based on our testing, and we played out a ton of different scenarios with this, it's almost always most advantageous to push the right-hand side of their shield as you're looking at it when you approach them. So their left, your right-hand side of the shield. And this just has to do with how the character model holds the shield, as well as when they go for a melee attack on you, which they're likely going to do if you're aggressive on them. They will push their shield out and expose the left-hand side of their body, which is, again, going to be the right-hand side as you're looking at it. They're going to expose that side of their body, not the other side. So if you push to the left side as you're looking at it, and they do a melee attack on you, that shield will be protecting them quite well. But if you push the right-hand side, they're going to open themselves up to an attack, and it's going to be much easier to take them out. I also find when you're doing this and you're pushing really aggressively to the side with a gun, I find it's best to remain in hip fire and strafe sideways as you're hip firing them in the side. If you try to aim down sight in these situations, it's going to slow your strafing ability down and it's going to make it so it's easier for them to track you. But if you just hip fire as you strafe around them to that right hand side, you'll be taking them out very consistently. This brings us to number 7, which actually pairs with the last one. This is using a tactical knife on your pistol. It's a very slight adjustment to your classes if you're already running a pistol. Maybe you like using extended mags like I do. Recently, I've actually been switching a bunch of my classes over to tactical knife because this is a great way to counter those shield users. When you run into a face-to-face situation against the shield guy, you can just swap to that pistol, be aggressive on them, push the right-hand side of their shield, and you should be able to get a really easy melee kill on them. Now, a lot of the times they will be able to hit you once, but like I said earlier, that opens them up to the attack, and then you can finish them off. So you might take some damage doing this, but it's a very consistent way to win that 1v1 against a shield user. Now, I do also want to mention as an aside here, instead of using the tactical knife, you could also just be using a melee weapon as your secondary, but personally, I think it's much more versatile to just use a pistol with a tactical knife. So moving on to number 6, this one is quite obvious, quite straightforward. Most people already know about this, but I did want to include it in the list because it is an effective counter to the shield. This is use a concussion grenade and then flank them and shoot them. For most players, if you hit them really well with that stun grenade, which you're going to want to throw behind the shield, not in front of the shield, because they can kind of block that effect if you do throw it directly in front of them. So try and throw it just to the side of them, and if you stun them quite well, they won't be able to turn fast enough to track you. And again, flank on that right-hand side and take them out. This brings us to number 5, and we're starting to get into the score streaks here, the Molotov. The Molotov is really easy to earn in-game. It's the lowest streak in the game, and it's extremely effective at taking out shield users. All you have to do when you earn that Molotov is throw it directly at the shield, or you could throw it at their feet. Either way, you're going to be getting a kill on them, no problem, and it'll just be a nice instant kill for you. The nice thing about going against shield users in this game is you know that they're using the Cavalry division. They can't use armored, and therefore they have no ability to counter flames in this game. As a result, the Molotov is a perfect counter to a riot shield user. And this is kind of a nice segue into the next one as well, the Flamethrower. The Flamethrower is definitely the best way to take out multiple shield users. If you happen to run into one of those troll teams where like everybody's using a shield, pull that Flamethrower out, they'll have no chance against you. The one downside of the Flamethrower is it does take a little bit more effort and skill to be able to earn consistently, but if you manage to get one, those shield users don't stand a chance against you. Getting into number 3, this is something I was a little bit surprised actually worked really effectively. This is using a launcher against shield users. It turns out a direct impact on a shield user, even on the front of the shield with either the bazooka or the Panzerschreck, will be an instant kill on them, even if they have hunker. So if you want to pop one of those as your secondary in a class, it is nice and easy to just swap over to that launcher and shoot them right in the shield. Moving on to number 2, this is just a technique that I like to use to deal with shield users. It doesn't require you to change up your class or anything like that. It's just something that I really like to do when I run into a situation where I'm just face to face with a shield user and we're kind of in a standoff and I'm worried about their teammates and I don't want to be aggressive on them. What I often like to do in these situations is run away, or at least fake running away. Make it look like I'm just saying, no, I'm not dealing with that, I'm out of here, I'm gonna go somewhere else. But I don't actually run away completely. I just get back behind cover by doing this. Then I immediately just turn around and challenge the guy. More often than not, when you do this and you actually make it look like you're running away from them, that shield user is going to start sprinting to chase you, or at the very least, they're going to let their guard down, they're going to stop crouching, they're going to expose their feet, and they're going to start moving closer to you. And they normally won't do this while crouched because that's just a big waste of time. So they're going to expose themselves in some way, and as you return around that corner again, you're likely going to have a target to shoot at, and you can easily pick them off. This is just like a little psychological trick. It's kind of like getting into the head of your enemy, and this works extremely effectively. More often than not, I pick off easy kills like this. And the best part about this is it doesn't require you to change up your class or anything along those lines. You're simply tricking that shield user into exposing themselves. And finally, this brings us to number 1. This is the one that I was actually most surprised with, and it's also probably one of the more effective ways to take out shield users on a consistent basis with just a small adjustment to your rifle classes. This is the rifle grenade. Personally, when I went into testing, I was thinking, yeah, of course the shield's just going to block the rifle grenade, no problem, and it's not going to be an effective counter unless you try and lob it in behind the shield, which is kind of inconsistent. You're probably just going to get a hit marker. But what we actually found in testing is a rifle grenade is an instant kill on a shield user if you hit them directly in the shield. Now, there's a little bit more to go into with this. If they aren't using hunker, no matter what, if you hit them in the shield, whether it's up close or far away, doesn't matter. As long as that rifle grenade hits their shield, they will die, no matter what. However, if they're using hunker, you do have to be relatively close to them. You have to be within that range where it counts as a direct impact kill with the rifle grenade. This is approximately the maximum range you can be, so you want to be within this range with the rifle grenade against a hunker user. And if you're within that range, you'll get that direct impact kill on them. You don't even need the explosive. You can actually look in the kill feed, and at this range, you'll see the skull appear, and that's a direct impact kill, rather than your gun, which would be the explosive kill from the rifle grenade. Now, the nice thing about this is generally when you run into a shield user and you're in that like face-to-face standoff against a shield user, you are going to be close enough where you can at least close that distance really, really easily, and then you can get that nice direct impact kill on them. And I absolutely love this counter. It's really quick to just swap over to that rifle grenade, take them out, and then switch back to your gun and move on in the game. You don't have to expose yourself to the enemy team by trying to flank that shield user. You don't have to waste too much time on that shield user. And also you get 2 of these every single time you spawn. So that's 2 riot shield kills every single time you spawn with this rifle grenade. It's very, very effective, and I'm definitely going to have a few more classes using that rifle grenade now. So those are the top 10 most effective counters I was able to find against the riot shield in CoD World War II. Just as a little bonus here, I wanted to share the ultimate shield destroyer class. This is the type of class I want to keep on hand just in case I run into one of those teams where at least half the team is using those shields and they get really annoying and I just want to make them regret that decision. With this one, we're using the Expeditionary Division, which allows us to constantly replenish our lethals and our tacticals, which are going to be very important. Plus, it gives us 2 of each of those, which is going to be great, so you can just hit them with those sticky grenades constantly throughout a game and pick them off that way. We're going to be using the STG-44, which first off is a great rifle for hip firing. So if I want to be aggressive on a shield user, I can just flank to the right-hand side and hip fire them to death because I'm also using steady aim on this class, which is going to help in those situations. Of course, we've got those rifle grenades on there, so we can use those to pick the guys off. Our basic training is going to be launched, so we can constantly replenish our launcher ammo, and of course we're going to be using a launcher. I decided to use the M1 bazooka because with the M1 bazooka we can just direct impact them. It's much more accurate than the Panzerschreck, and therefore even at longer ranges you can just put that sight on them and hit them with that launcher. It's going to be nice, easy, consistent kills for sniping those shield users. And of course, if I'm using this, I would love to pair that with a Molotov as well as a Flamethrower. So if you ever get annoyed by the shield users, you can start annoying them with this particular class setup. And with that, we're going to wrap up today's video. I'd like to know in the comment section below, what's your favorite counter to the shield in CoD World War II? Is it one of the ones I listed, or is there a particular method or technique that I missed in this video that you like to use to counter those shields? If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.